What were your initial thoughts, reactions, emotions that came up for you when you first heard about the violent threat to the school the other day?
Well, I was already a little on edge because I had heard from the university that that there was a guy like going around campus like stalking women and like aggressively trying to sell them weed and stuff like that. So I kind of was just like, this has to stem from that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly didn't really know what to think because I'm like, man, like we're all just trying to go to school and boom, a threat happens and then everything shut down, you know what I mean? So initial thoughts, I was just nervous for the people who lived on campus too, because I'm like, it would suck to have to be confined to just your dorm space and then not knowing what's going on. So like that was a big thing that was my first thoughts when we got the email. I was honestly scared because I was like, okay, like what did they find? Like there was just a lot first thoughts going on. So yeah.
And how did you initially find out? Was it through the email that the school sent?
Well, they have my phone number and email on file, so they sent a text that was like at like 3 a.m. too. They were dedicated, saying like, oh, like all in-person classes are delayed to like 10 a.m. And I think from there they were like, we'll update you again at 8. So then they sent another text, and then it was more detailed information in the emails, just basically stating like, hey, we got notified about this person. We don't know how serious the threat is, kind of thing. So yeah, that's how I found out about it. And then Instagram, there's a SFSU like confessions page.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it came from. I think the guy had like commented like coming to school armed, see y'all tomorrow. And I think that's what brought the university's attention to it. So yeah.
And how safe, generally speaking, do you feel just walking around campus on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'd say like 8. I feel like, I mean, I wouldn't like, just full blown 10 because I'm like, I feel like any place has its things and concerns, but I feel like it's a pretty safe campus. I mean, everything's relatively close. So when I first got here, I felt so overwhelmed because I was like, oh, everything's all over the place. But now that I know my schedule and, just the vibe of school, like, honestly, everything's really close. The furthest thing is the gym.
Right.
And I'm like, that I think how close everything is. I have to say SF State is pretty safe. We have a lot of security and people here at night too, so it's like there's a lot of people around for witnesses or anything like that. I say it's pretty safe. Yeah.
How satisfied were you with the response of the school to the threat that happened?
I was honestly pleasantly surprised because I'm like, even for a threat as like casual as that on social media, they were on it. Like, you know what I mean? Like 3 a.m. you guys sent us a text message saying we'll report again at 8 a.m. Not even 8 a.m. It was 7:59 a.m. saying like everything's closed down for the day. Like, the person that's been detained, we don't think they're a serious threat, but yeah, so I was really impressed. The message I think that the president put out was also very reassuring to the students who lived on campus. Like, I don't personally live on campus, but like if I did, I would want somebody to at least acknowledge that was like super traumatizing and like so scary, you know what I mean? Because like think about if you're a transfer student, you're an international student, like, and this happens, like, oh, that's literally your first experience for America, like that sucks, so I was really impressed because they were on it. It was really quick, like just for an Instagram comment, like for them to shut everything down as quickly as they did. I was really, really happy because it feels like they care about our safety and they're urgent and they're quick with it. It wasn't just like, oh, well, they said it, but like you don't want to chance it because we don't know how serious they are. So I was impressed with how quickly they responded.
So what were emotions and thoughts, reactions that came up for you when you first heard about the ambiguous threat of violence to the school yesterday?
At first, I was really, really concerned and scared. I didn't know what had happened. At first, I didn't even know it was violence. I thought there had been like a gas leakage or something. And then I shared it with my family, and my brother, he went to Long Beach State. So he was like, yeah, this just happens sometimes at big state schools. I was like, oh, okay. And then I looked on Twitter and I did some more research and I looked up the tag like SFSU, and I kind of like got to see exactly what was going on. But I'm glad that my classes were able to pivot to Zoom pretty easily and quickly.
So you found out initially through social media?
I found out through the text message from the school.
Okay.
Then I checked my email. Then I texted my family, and then I like got into a safe location. I could do my classes from a safe place. then I was like, okay, I can just look at Twitter and see what exactly is going on. But I'm off campus, so it affected me in the way that I didn't have to come to campus for classes, but I wasn't super afraid.
Okay. And how safe typically do you feel on school grounds, like on a scale from 1 to 10?
I would normally feel like a 7. I know that I got an email about someone that had gotten their laptop stolen when they were like outside of a cafe, and so in the afternoon, so I was a little bit scared generally because of that. So I do feel like it's a place where you can't just leave your backpack, leave your stuff wherever, like it can get taken. But I hadn't thought about the idea of like having a mass shooter before, so this was actually quite a reality check and quite scary, especially being inside for so long. Coming back on campus, I forgot that COVID's not the only threat. That it's still violence.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's super scary to have to look out for both things at the same time.
Right.
And how satisfied were you with the school's response
I was
as a whole?
Pretty satisfied with it. I know that when sensitive things happen, like as a power instructor, you can't always give out like super concrete details, so they're not going to say the name of the person or kind of what the threat was, but I'm glad that they canceled classes and kept us posted too early. I know my classes start at 10 a.m., so having an alert saying that we're going to update you by 8 a.m. and by 8 a.m. you'll know either way. That was really nice. So I felt like they handled it pretty well, and from what I know that they detained the person, so I feel like that, I feel satisfied in that. And the fact that it was with email and also text, because I don't always check my email first thing in the morning, so having a text knowing that it was an alert was actually really helpful, so I didn't accidentally come to campus.
Okay. The only thing I can say is, as sad as it is to say, the first school shooting that I remember very vividly is Sandy Hook, and I was a freshman in high school at the time. So it's weird to say this, but it's not shocking or anything. It's just kind of very normalized now.
Yeah.
That's what I was telling my roommates. They were because they're older, and they were like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And I was like, it's just kind of how things are right now. And I know I did have a couple of colleagues who work in different AS offices who didn't actually feel safe with coming to work today, which I totally respect. I get it, but I just I personally can't live my life in fear. Maybe if it did happen, that's just the way I'm supposed to go. I don't know. It's very confusing. But I know that we did, send something to our bosses, and we're a couple of us don't feel comfortable coming today, and I was allowed them to put my name on it because I knew I was going to come to the office today.
Right.
But I completely respect anyone's decision and fears of coming in.
Yeah.
Would
you say it's just a desensitization almost, just because it happens so frequently?
Yes, definitely. It's at one point I'm kind of scared of it because it happens so frequently. On the other point, I'm well, they're if I want to go to the movie theater, if I want to go to school, if I want to do anything, that unfortunately is always a threat. Sometimes if I go in the movie theater and there's only an exit on one side, I get super nervous, you know. But yeah, it's desensitized, scared, but it's the same way I feel about planes. I have a fear of planes, but I always go on them anyways because
you gotta get somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So and I'm if it crashes, that's how I was meant to go, you know. Yeah. So
so on a scale from 1 to 10, how safe would you say generally do you feel on school campus?
I would say maybe a 6. Just because I would say honestly, in terms of bomb threat or gun threat or whatever, it's not something that I think is going to happen all the time.
Yeah.
But I would just say being a visible, queer, and person of color on campus, I do fear retaliation sometimes for the work that I do. But in terms of like guns and all of that, it would probably be more like I feel like a 8 is pretty high. Yeah. Just because I do know like the building manager in here, and he's like awesome. His name's Mark. I don't think he's here right now because he would be a good person to interview, but yeah. So I guess because I have more of a connection to the campus with working here, I probably do feel a little safer than other students, just because I have an idea of what would go down if something were to happen.
Right. So kind of that like community aspect, like being tied in to like different relationships on campus, like helps foster safety.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. And last question, how satisfied were you with the campus's reaction, like the school's reaction to the threat?
I would say, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, or just in general?
Either one.
I would say, because I heard about it from, like, peers before the campus ever put a statement out about it, so I think they definitely need to do more monitoring of, like, threats and things.
Yeah.
Like, there should be, like, a whole ass office, because things like this happen all the time. That, like, monitors things. And at first they were just like, oh, don't come into class till, like, after 10 a.m. Like, what is that gonna do?
Right, or they like, will update you at, like, 8 and then at 10.
Yeah, like, if there is a threat in general, like, nobody should be on campus. Like, that's just how it is, because you don't know if they have like accomplices, you don't know any of those things, and it could have been like this guy was just saying stupid things and like didn't really mean it, but it's always better to be like safe than sorry.